Sorry to keep you waiting for a couple seconds. Um, just wanted everybody to know, as of this morning, Leslie Alexander has put the Houston Rockets and Clutch City Sports and Entertainment up for sale. He feels it's a great, it's been the great joy of his life and pleasure to be the owner of the Houston Rockets. The great players, Hall of Fame players and coaches, and championships won, all NBA teams made. Just the connection to the community that's been established over 24 years has been an incredible opportunity that he's just loved. He feels it's time. The organization's in terrific shape. As you know, the management team is in place with long-term contracts. They are, the team, the players, Coach D'Antoni, James, Chris. You see the core that we have. It's an organization that is put together with great opportunity because of the culture that Mr. Alexander has built and because of the excellence that he's delivered through the organization year after year. So we're starting the process now. I'll be coordinating. I'll be overseeing the process with the league office and our internal management team. But as of this morning, Leslie has decided that he's going to be seeking a buyer for the Rockets and for Clutch City Sports and Entertainment. And with that, I'll answer any questions you may have.
Anything specifically that precipitated this?
No, I think it's something, Jonathan, that he's I don't want to say struggled with, but I think it's been something he's been thinking about a little bit. It can wear on you after so many decades. He's tired. There are passions in his life now that are becoming more and more clear. His family, certainly, and his philanthropic efforts, what he'll be able to do with his additional time and with his resources on a global scale. Is something that he's very much looking forward to with the future and how he can help shape the future and the things that he's most passionate about. I also will say he wanted to make it clear as we spoke that Houston is home for him, and it's always been such a joy for him to help serve the underserved here, and he's going to continue his commitments to the charities that he's supported and the programs that he's created here in the Houston community, and he's going to continue those in the future as part of his commitment to the Houston community.
How long has he been contemplating this, and what all the time went into the decision?
I would say off and on he'll be approached over the years, but really it's never been anything that he's even considered. And I think recently can sense, he's just been tired. I'm sure many of you who know him well could probably sense that it's a grind. It's a grind. And even now where things are ratcheted up even that much more with the expectations and the ability to really go deep and compete, it's been tough. And so I think he just had a real good conversation with his family and with some of his close friends, and he just decided it was time for him to make another change in his life. I think early when he bought the team back in '93, he talked about having the means and the ability to change the fabric of his life. And I think that he's looking at this now as a moment, 25 years later, where he's looking at changing the fabric of his life, and he's looking at focusing on different passions that may be more of a focus for him going forward with the rest of his time and his resources. And so I think that's something that has come up recently, but I wouldn't say that it was deliberated for a long period of time. Just more, it hit him and he wanted to make a quick decision and go forward.
Is there a potential buyer on the horizon?
There are always buyers. I know that there are many who have expressed it in the past. And speaking with the league office today, There are others who have expressed interest in teams, and I am approached quite often by people who are interested in, owning a franchise. And I'm sure this is something, one of the reasons we wanted to have a public announcement about it was because we are always approached, but it's more so it can be detrimental to the preparation, if you will, for the season if there's a trickle of either information or misinformation about what may or may not be happening. So this is confirmation that yes, in fact, it is available, and we fully expect that the remainder of people who have expressed interest previously would be in the process of contacting me very, very shortly.
Who all will be involved in those conversations in addition to Les?
In addition to Mr. Alexander, he's asked me to run point. We also have our current internal management team, our general counsel, Rafael Stone, general manager, Daryl Morey. And we're also going to be working directly with the league office, with Commissioner Silver and his staff. I've already spoken with the commissioner this morning. And we're gonna handle it if we feel to be supplemented with additional support personnel, like Michael Goldberg. I'm sure Baker Botts is going to be involved. He's been Leslie's attorney since he came to Houston. We will have a team, but we've had the good fortune of being able to do a number of big deals that are a little bit outside the norm, if you will. So we're going to handle it internally until we feel we may need a little bit more help.
Is he committed to finding a buyer that will keep the team in Houston?
Yes.
Do you have a timetable for when you'd like this completed?
No, I would say the timetable, obviously, to have the best stability sooner than later, but we're also not going to rush a timetable because the management team in place is going to be operating the same way during this process as well as after the process. So we're going to make sure that it's the right buyer. We're going to, Leslie has the latitude of time based on our resources and his resources and everything associated with the team right now are in place, and we're ready to go. But we're gonna handle it. It would be ideal to be quicker than longer, but we're gonna make sure that we follow all the correct process with the league and vet the appropriate people who would be interested in purchasing the club.
You said the management team will remain in place after the sale. Is that a contingency to the sale?
I wouldn't. We're getting into semantics. Frankly, I wouldn't say it's a contingency, but certainly, with Daryl and others being extended, their long-term contracts in play, we would hope that people would think that the organization is run in a manner that is, according to what a new buyer would expect. But that is up to the new buyer, and I'm sure we'll have those discussions down the road.
Tad, how much is the stability of the basketball side of things here, especially locking James up long-term, acquiring another star player? Does that play a role in this at all, in the decision to sell the team, knowing that the buyer, whoever will be, have a marketable franchise and one that has star power already?
Actually, that wasn't even a consideration when Leslie was making the final determination. Based on everything, he's been incredibly excited about the opportunity to extend James and bringing Chris on board and the core group of guys that we have. And Coach D'Antoni, he loves Mike and he loves what Coach brings. But I'd say from a buyer's perspective, certainly that's something that is unique, right? Because oftentimes when a team is on the market, in some respects, it's more of a distressed situation. Here, it couldn't be further from the truth. We have an incredible market in the city of Houston, which is one of the fastest growing, if not the fastest growing in the country. It's a terrific, vibrant community. It's got a great fan base. And it's got star players who are always here, locked in. James, I have had a conversation with James, locked in for the long term. So it's a unique opportunity, but it wasn't one that ultimately was by design. I'd say that this was something that has been weighing on him a little bit, and I think that he finally came to the conclusion relatively quickly over the last few days that this was something he wanted to pursue.
Is this something you expected? You've been with the team a long time. Coming down the pipe here within the near future?
No, I'll be honest. I did not expect it when Leslie and I talked. We've been talking quite a bit over the last little while. Obviously, I speak to him every day, but you know, he is always in everything 100% whenever he's in it, and so when he mentioned it to me this morning that he had made up his mind that this is what he wanted to do, I was very surprised. But at the end of the day, I mean, I guess nothing truly surprises me at the end of the day, because Leslie's also a man of many passions, and he's got things that he wants to do and opportunities he wants to pursue. But it wasn't something we've had a whole lot of conversation about, and so I was pretty surprised.
What's magical about today? Why now?
He made the decision, and I think once he makes up his mind, Mark, you know him well. Once he makes up his mind is made up, and then it's a matter of making sure that the process is handled properly, and a lot of that process is really communication, and the communication that's important to Leslie and to me is the communication to our employees, to our players, to our coaching staff, to our stakeholders, to the people who are really, you know, the most tied into the franchise on a daily basis. And so we've wanted to have all those conversations as quickly as we can, and we have, for the most part, for everybody that I could reach. And we wanted to make sure that the process was controlled properly and the communication was controlled properly, because if it starts leaking out, then it just takes on different agendas. And so having it done, and Leslie and I know he spoke to the commissioner, and I spoke to Adam as well. The best thing to do, we felt, was just to make the statement to the city, make the statement to the NBA community, and then go down the road with the right communication in place.
Have you hired an investment firm or a brokerage house or some kind of like the Allen House in New York? You hired anybody to help you do this?
No, and we're not going to.
Do you anticipate your phone ringing when you go back upstairs?
I don't know. I think my wife has my phone right now, so I'm trying to keep it out of my pocket. And I'm going to go on vacation for the next couple of weeks. I'll see you guys when I get back.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
You mentioned that it is a grind because it's a long season. A lot goes into that outside and inside the season. Is his health okay? Did that play in?
Yes, his health is fine, and definitely wants everybody to know that he's healthy. But I do think it's a grind, you know, and he's tired, but he's healthy. He looks great. He's fit. But it's been a long time, 24 years. You know, there's a guy whose standard for excellence and accountability is extremely high. You know, he's got the fifth best winning percentage in the NBA since he's on the team. He's won multiple championships. Over the last decade, we've got the second most wins in the NBA. You know, he's got the second most winning seasons of any owner during his tenure. And he's consistently on it, making sure that we're bringing in the best possible talent with the best people who are on the court and off the court. And those things can really weigh on you when you're pursuing those things day after day after day, year after year. And so he just decided it's time to pursue some other goals.
Chad, have you spoken to the commissioner at all? Has he mentioned anything or had any thoughts on Leslie deciding to sell the team today?
I did. I talked to him this morning, and then he spoke with Leslie as well. Adam was effusive in his praise, obviously. He's known Leslie for 24 years, even longer, since Leslie was trying to purchase a club before that. And he's one of the standard bearers for franchises in the NBA. So it's certainly going to be kind of a sea change in the ownership structure within the league. He's one of the longest tenured owners, one of the most successful, and one of the most influential as it relates to his relationship with the commissioner. So he was a little surprised as well because, again, the last few times that Adam had been with him, he'd been engaged. certainly, and by that I mean he was, he definitely has his thoughts about how things can be done better by the league office, and Adam is always very appreciative to be a part of those discussions. And so once we kind of got through the initial shock together, we talked about process and we talked about the best way to go forward to make sure that it was the easiest on Leslie, easiest on the franchise, and easiest so that our team, goes through minimal disruptions as we go forward with the process.
Have you had a chance to tell any of the players like James or anybody?
I have. I've talked to James. I've talked to Chris. I was right in the middle of getting coach. I've talked to Trevor. I've tried a few of the guys that I've missed here and there simply because it came up so quickly and trying to get them. Surprise. Again, same kind of thing. The guys love him. The guys love Leslie. He's a person who's always 100% with them, behind them, giving them whatever they need to be successful. And they feel that, they, especially when you've been around a lot of other organizations, it's a different feeling. And many of you were here for James' press conference and for Chris's presser the other day. It's really nice to hear the players talk about the organization and talk about Leslie and talk about the team and how they feel about it, because it's true. It's about making sure that our players are in the best situation they possibly can be, personally and professionally, to be able to do their jobs and enjoy themselves. And Leslie is the leader on that because he knows the only way that any organization succeeds is because of the players and because of the coaches and the culture that's created from the players and the locker room on out. And he's embraced that since the day he came in and met with Akeem Olajuwon, and he continues to embrace that with the great players that we have here today. And so it's always about communicating with them as much as we possibly can up front, and we'll continue to do so. After I finish here, I'm going to call the rest of the guys to make sure that they hear it from me.
Any other questions?
I have a question. Speaking of culture, aside from trying to find somebody that wants to keep the team in Houston, what are some other variables that he looks at? Marketing strategies, developmental outreach, reaching out into the community. What's important for him to finding a buyer?
Well, I think the important thing is to make sure that you have the same type of core beliefs and values on how a franchise should operate. And what you've seen from the Rockets organization over the years, hopefully what can be agreed upon, to any degree, is it's about winning. It's about making sure that we're doing everything we possibly can from a resource perspective to put the best possible team, players, coaches, et cetera, on the floor so that our fans can have that ultimate enjoyment and the ultimate goal of a successful team. And it's about reaching out to the community and making sure that we're helping out as best we possibly can with the resources and the manpower that we have to serve the underserved and folks who may have fallen through the cracks. And I think he's always really made sure that, when you focus on those two things, we always talk about making sure that we create championship experiences on and off the floor. That's kind of the core to our values as far as our mission. And if we're doing those things properly, then it's going to be successful for us and for the city. We fully expect, as we go through on this process, to make sure that we vet the appropriate buyers and we vet the appropriate people who are interested in the team, as well as our entertainment division, that they share those values. And whether how the strategies or how the tactics come into play, that's going to be for others to present and try to figure out. But from an overall perspective, our expectations, Leslie's expectations, mine, the people that we're going to be looking for, we want them to have similar beliefs and values on how Leslie started in 1993 and how he's continued all the way through today. And today is a great example where the last thing he told me before we came down here was, I want to make sure that everybody knows all those charities that I've supported and the people that I've supported over the years, I'm going to continue to support as we go forward. That's the kind of owner he is, the kind of guy he is, and the kind of feeling that he has for the people in the city of Houston to make sure that continues on.
Tad, is there a working number that you guys, in terms of franchise valuation right now?
I've got a number, yeah. No, there isn't. Wait, these things will take shape. There are these things will take shape. Not worried about that.
What impact does this have as Daryl continues through free agency and building the roster of potential moves? Is there any effect?
None. We are operating 100% the way that we operated as of 7:30 this morning before I talked to Leslie, and we're going to operate the same way as we go forward. You know, one of the great things about Leslie as an owner is he trusts his people, and so the same communication we're going to have with him today, tonight, tomorrow, for however long it takes, is going to be the exact same that we had with him over the weekend when Daryl was finalizing everything with some of the players that we've been fortunate to bring on board recently. So it's going to be the same process. Nothing will change.
How would Forbes evaluations back in February, how do they compare to sale prices and what actually happens in the real world from past experience?
They're extremely low.
And you know what do you recall what that valuation was for February, I'm sure?
I do.
So-
You should Google it. Look it up.
I already know it. So what you're saying is, to answer the previous question.
I'm not trying to be smug, and I'm not trying to be flip. It's one of those situations. The cadence of the discussion will take place, and we'll make sure that we get everything put together over the course of the next very short period of time. But there's a range that we feel people are going to understand, and we'll continue to go from there. But whatever's bandied about in Forbes or other locations, it may or may not make a difference on the overall valuation that would go out for the market.
Karen, just
Last question.
clarification, is it the NBA franchise and also the company that puts on entertainment events here at Toyota Center?
It's the entire operating company. So it will be, the Houston Rockets as well as Clutch City Sports and Entertainment. So the entire organization rolls up under Leslie's, holding companies, if you will. I'm the CEO of all the operating companies. And so we're going to, at this point, we're working on packaging everything together and make sure that we go forward with the right presentation. Because as you can imagine, our entertainment division is extremely successful and large. We have one of the best run of shows of any building in the country, and it's something that really is a good integration with the club. So it's a nice opportunity to have that roll under one asset that you're going to be going out to the market, which is dissimilar to possibly some situations in other buildings where they may have multiple operating companies that have different owners of the different groups.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.